Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. This is the first kind of official video that I will be doing, and it'll be a book review. So, wait, let me get my glasses. I think it's gone now. But as I said, we're gonna be reviewing. Let me sit up straight. I'm gonna be reviewing Bunny by Mona Awad. So, going into this book, I knew a couple of things. I knew that Margaret Atwood did an interview with this person. Or should I say, this person did an interview with Margaret Atwood about her book. It was weird. I don't know. I watched it on YouTube. I didn't watch all of it, but they seem to be getting along. And first of all, I just want to say this person seems like a good person, a nice person. Like, they seemed very, passionate in the interview. The second thing I knew going into this book was that it was going to be a horror book and a weird book. Like, I knew this wasn't going to be an average book, you know? And that's what I was excited for. That's what I like about the type of books that I read, you know? That's what I like to read. But anyways, let's getting started. I'm not going to do any spoilers in the first part, and then in the second part, I'll move into spoilers. So, the first part is going to be no spoilers. Also, if you noticed, I did just move the camera a little bit. This video is my first video, okay? So I'm going to be playing around with, certain things. It's not going to be the most, normal looking video in the world. You know what I mean? But anyways, non-spoilers, Bunny by Mona Awad. So first of all, did I enjoy the book? Yes, I did. I definitely enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed certain parts. Certain parts stood out to me. There was a lot of parts that did stand out to me, as you can see. I want to see how many tabs I have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. That might be a record for how many tabs I get. Maybe I'm just getting more literary, or maybe I enjoyed this book a lot. I don't know. But non-spoilers, it's a book. It's a book. It doesn't start off very experimental. You can tell that it's a weird book, but it doesn't start off in an unreality. It's very grounded in reality for the first 80-something pages of it. There's no weird stuff going on, right? And up until then, no problems with the book. It's really solid. The characters are great. And something around 80 pages, 85 pages happens. I'm not sure. That's not really a spoiler, right? Saying what page stuff happens. It might even be later than that amount of pages. I don't know. But somewhere in part 1, towards the end, something weird happens. It's not this is kind of confusing. It doesn't really make sense. So, Bunny by Mona Awad does unreality in a way that I'm not, a huge fan of. It does, weird stuff in a way I'm not a huge fan of. Another book that does the same kind of thing is The Cipher by Kath Koja. It's sitting right there. It does a great job at weird, metaphorical, unreality situations and stuff like that. This book, not as good. It's like the TikTok version of it. Not to be too disrespectful, of course. But yeah, I don't know about that part. Anyways, as we move into part 2, things are still a little weird for a while, but then it does kind of flatten out. It kind of grounds itself back to where it belongs. And it's more enjoyable. There's romance in it that I like. That was my favorite part of the book. And, but after part 2, I'm going to be honest, the book kind of falls apart, and it's not very good. Part 3 is just kind of, I don't know. But if you're really into horror and weird books, you're going to enjoy this book no matter what. You're going to like it. If you're into any other kind of books, you might not like this. If you really like Mean Girls, you'll probably like this book. But, I mean, the writing is pretty good. The way it flows is great. And I have so many tabs in here that I want to get into in spoilers just because of the prose that stood out to me, or the way that Mona Awad described certain sentences or things like that. Like, the way things were described was really amazing. But yeah, I mean, to conclude my non-spoiler review, if you like weird books, if you like dark books, it's really good. It's pretty good, except for the ending. Like, the last, part 3 sucks. Let me be real, part 3 is not that great. But part 1 and part 2 are pretty good, not gonna lie. I would say the writing's good, the descriptions are great, but the story is kind of weak in some ways. It definitely is. The characters are strong, the story is kind of weak. I would say even the characters get a bit weak towards the end, but it's not bad. It's not bad. Okay, that concludes my non-spoiler review. Alright guys, it's time to get into the spoilers, finally. It's kind of my favorite part, because I get to kind of go over what happens in the book and stuff. So if you've read it, here we are at the end. I mean, that ending was pretty, that was something, let me just say. I don't know if I love the ending of it. I mean, let's just go to the ending and see what the fuck just happened here. Because that was honestly a bit of bullshit. Like, okay. I watch it float away into the shivering shade. You could come with me, I say to Jonah, if you want. I lower my gaze to the mud. Sure, Samantha, says the mud. I'd love to. Says the mud. So fucking, she doesn't have any friends. So it wasn't just Ava that was a made-up imaginary friend. It was also Jonah, because Jonah's just a piece of mud. Was she trying to pull a Fight Club here or something? I can't really understand, to be honest. I don't get it. I don't get that part. Because if Jonah wasn't real, if Jonah was a piece of mud, then was he not at their house eating shrimp on a stick at Ursula's house or whatever? Like, were they not all together? Like, because it seemed like the other characters were interacting with him quite a bit, so he couldn't have been that fake, right? Like, come on. Like, I'm just looking back and imagining, like, if Jonah and Ava both weren't there, so she was just literally imagining, like, 2 people in the hallway. That's confusing to me. This book brings a lot of interesting thoughts that don't really lead anywhere, though. I'm telling you, man, this book doesn't really have, like, a cohesive metaphorical meaning or a plot whatsoever. It just kind of, like, goes along. Let me say, I do love how it takes place in college. The beginning of the book where, like, Samantha and Ava are sitting together, and you can tell that Samantha has an interest in these group of, like, bunnies. These, like, I don't know if I can call them sorority girls or whatever they are. It's like a frat. It's like a cult. She's, like, drawn to them for some reason. And maybe it's because Ava doesn't actually exist. Because she was made from, like, a swan in her imagination or something. Like, I don't fucking know. Like, this shit's confusing, bro. But if they didn't exist, then, like, if Ava didn't exist, then it would just be Sam sitting there, and her subconscious or her gut feeling was telling her not to hang out with these crazy girls or, like, have any interest in them. I don't know. You can tell throughout the whole book that Sam is a very insecure character. And, like, but is she insecure enough to make up her own friends? Like, it doesn't really feel like it. It feels like she genuinely has Ava as her friend. It just doesn't make any sense why the fuck she died. Like, this is just so fucking random. It feels random in certain ways for the point of being random. I'm not saying this person has I'm not saying this person doesn't understand absurdist stuff, okay? I'm just saying there's some parts in here I'm just like, what the fuck, man? It's just fucking stupid. Like, it's not absurd, it's just random. Just random. It didn't emotionally impact me. I really think there's some solid parts in this book, but it's just there was no tying it all together. It's just like, it's like sometimes when I write and I'm like, oh, this is just sharpening my writing. This feels like it's sharpening her writing, but it's not really a book. It's like, I don't know. But the beginning of the book is pretty good. Let's go and see if we can find some tabs. What's the first tab we got in here? The Duchess, in turning toward us, causes a ripple effect of turning among the other bunnies. First Cupcake looks over, then Creepy Doll with her tiger eyes, then Vignette with her lovely Victorian skull face, her stoner mouth wide open. I think I tabbed that because I want to remember what they look like. Holding hands while they praised each other's stories. Can I have 5,000 more pages of this, please? Can I just say, I loved living in your lines, and that's where I want to live forever. Okay, so that was, like, funny, I guess. Like, I literally sometimes look back at what I'm tabbed, and, like, maybe I just get excited at that point in time, but, like, okay, this is the part that I tabbed that I actually think was really well written. Where to start? Okay, this is a really long sentence. She looks at it all with disgust. The tall old buildings, the ornately spiked gates, the endless stretch of carefully manicured, perfumed green teeming with bright-eyed squirrels and rabbits, the students walking here and there, discussing Derrida and their nose jobs, their hair kissed by a September light so golden and perfect, it's as though they paid the sun to beam down on them in just that way. I like that sentence. It's a long sentence, but I like it. Let's see. So that they're basically like hanging around campus and like think she gets an invite around here at some point to go to the bunny's house. Wearing her stolen clothes, her ripped tights biting on her lip behind her fishnet veil, dropping ash onto the shaggy carpet shaped like a heart, filling the room with rain and smoke. That was okay. I read Salem's Lot by Stephen King recently. I had so many tabs, and I look back at the tabs and I'm like, dude, like, what was I tabbing? Okay, let's see what this is. Beside the word tonight, she's put an emoji of a dancing girl in a red dress. So I tabbed that one because that emoji meant something to me. I'm not going to go into like personal details or anything, but the dancing girl in a red dress, like, that just resonated with me. And I thought it was just interesting how like emojis are in books now, and how like, I don't know, I just found that part interesting. Because, yeah, the red dress emoji did resonate with me quite a bit. Just personally. Hey, the man I'm dancing with says, ow, sorry. Okay, I don't know why I fucking tabbed that. I follow her out there in the dark street. Ava. At first it's all black, but then my eyes adjust to the dark and I see her silhouette in a cloud of smoke under the Tango Palace sign. So I thought seeing her silhouette under a cloud of smoke, that description was just nice. Might go back to it later. I thought that was interesting. The street is dark, empty, aside from a few scared-looking undergrads walking quickly down the sidewalk, huddled together, their coiffed heads bent, purse logos shimmering in the dark, probably venturing toward the one cool bar downtown. I thought that was just interesting description again. I forget what coiffed means, but I think I looked it up and found it out, and then it was a cool word. So, okay, there's a lot of things where there's like two tabs on a page. Through the open door, I can see the Duchess and Vignette in the living room, dancing and laughing with four conspicuously handsome young men. The men stare intently at me with vacant eyes. The blue-green of glacial lakes. The blue-green of glacial lakes. That's a pretty good description. You know what I mean? Round and round by their handsome days. Okay, not at all like the sad students. Okay, this line has stuck in my mind for like a week. Okay, sorry, I had to cut that off because just making sure my camera doesn't die. My battery's been weird recently. This fucking line right here on page 83 has stuck in my mind for like a whole week. And I'll explain why after, but here we go. Not at all like the sad students that swarm the tango class. Okay, they lead me into the living room where the Duchess and Vignette are on the makeshift dance floor being turned round and round by their handsome dates. Not at all like the sad students that swarm the tango class. No masturbatory sheen to their faces. No dingy shirts. No look of naked hunger in their glacial lake eyes. So, describing the dates that were at the kind of party. How they don't have that masturbatory sheen to their faces. Not like the, computer science students or whatever. I thought it was just an interesting way to, tie it all into college. Bring it back to that funny thing. But just stuck in my head because, I feel like when I like someone, or, I'm flirting or whatever, I always kind of get self-conscious that I come off as, desperate or, I have that masturbatory sheen in my eyes. So, this line just, really intrigued me and stuck with me a bit. Just funny. And, again, using the amazing description of the normal eyes, the glacial lake eyes. I don't know, just that part just really, stuck out to me. Let's see what else we're tabbing up here. I was drunk, I was bored. Beowulf looked like Donald Glover with blue voids for eyes. I just thought the Donald Glover reference was funny. It's just a random ass thing to put in the book. But it was a good description to describe, what someone looked like, And I also think Donald Glover, uses, a white voice all the time. So he would definitely be at, one of these kind of parties. It just, kind of clicks in my brain like that. Okay. Bunny, he says slowly, looking at me, deep voice, the word tastes surprisingly good in his mouth. Needs salt, but not bad. Yes, I definitely saw a bunny. So that's just interesting to me. The way he said, the word tastes surprisingly good in his mouth, but it needs salt. So it's oh, and reading this back, so he was kind of, created by her. So it's just, it makes you think. Surprisingly good in his mouth, needs salt, but not bad. I don't know, it's just I don't know. Let's see what else we got. That the horse would mistake her head for a small fruit, or that when she was riding him, he'd shake her off like a bug. So that was a description of during the Christmas break off of college, and she's just scrolling through Instagram and she sees one of the bunnies, I think it's Eleanor, the Duchess, posting photos, and one of them is a close up of her head, close to the horse, and it just this description just sticks in my head, the way that she describes the Duchess's head is a small fruit, and the horse might confuse it as food. Just really paints the picture of what the Instagram post looks like. It's it's zoomed in, it might be in 0.5 or something, but it's it still looks so aesthetic and prettily pleasing. I just thought that was really interesting. Okay, now we got 2 tabs. So too much solitude, Samantha, can just lead to the worst kind of paranoia and navel glazing. I had never heard that word before, but it basically means so too much solitude, basically, too much time alone and peace can make it seem you're the most important thing. This is what navel glazing means. You're the most important thing. You're all wrapped up in yourself and you forget about the whole entire world around you. That's basically what the word is. And I didn't know there was a word for that, but now I do because of Mona Awad. So thank you for reminding me of this awesome word that I never knew about. So yeah, that was cool. I think I will use that word maybe in something I write, or just knowing the word helps. So there was a reference to Jonah's tie, and the scene, I guess, kind of makes at least the fact of what tie he's wearing makes me feel like he isn't real and that she created him. He's wearing a tie to this formal thing, right, that has Edvard Munch's The Scream on it. I literally have a shirt. I should have worn the shirt for this review, but it's a famous painting, And mine is like, the guy is replaced with Michael Myers, but the rest of the thing is still the Scream painting. So that was just cool and interesting. A lot of this stuff just relates to like pop culture nowadays. And the author of this book is 46. So it's just like surprising how well she is in tune with like just certain things of this generation. Just interesting. Okay, so this is 257. They stare at me. This is the last tab I had, by the way. I think I really like this description too. So, they stare at me, Kira stroking her doll, Caroline among the now frowning clouds, Victoria still smirking and trying for bored but clearly pissed. Well, Samantha, so I guess the description up to this, Victoria was like described in a certain way where this smirking and trying for bored but clearly pissed, it just really clicked in my brain. I don't know. I like that. I like that description a lot, though. Yeah, the ending sucks, man. To be honest. The ending of part 2, what part I loved about that? I talked about it in non-spoiler, but let's talk about what part I loved about the ending of part 2. Okay, so. Interesting, okay. So the ending of part 2, basically, she's at this new supermarket. Can't remember why. Can't remember the reason. I think she was looking for Ava. And there's just like expensive stuff. There's like raspberries that are completely organic and all this organic shit. And basically she runs into this guy that she created for the bunnies, but she didn't think she created him. But it's revealed at the end of the book, of course, that she did create him. But she runs into the guy, right, at the store, and like then she runs into her teacher. So the guy is kind of like, she thought the guy left, and then the guy's standing behind her teacher, and the teacher's talking to her, and like she just wants to get to the guy, right, because the guy is clearly making eye contact and stuff with her. And at that point, she's not sure that she created him. She actually thinks he's just a guy that's cool and mysterious and shit. But basically, they end up on the same bus at some point, and he's listening to this really good song. I forget what it's called, but I have it on my playlist now. It's like by New Order or something from their popular album. And the song was really good. So I listened to the song while I was reading, which is something you couldn't do years ago. And I love when books mention songs, because I'll put that shit in my ears while I'm reading. But basically, he just kind of talks to her and rizzes her, and then he gets off the bus, but she follows him, and then he basically leads her around. But man, some of the descriptions at the end of part 2 are just amazing. Like, let me see if I got some of them. I don't think I do. No, I don't. I don't have any of them marked down, but it was just like the whole way it flowed and stuff. Like, I wasn't thinking about marking it down. I was just so immersed in the moment, I think. Just the way everything was described at the end of part 2 was so amazing. It was the best part of the book. If the whole book was like that, it'd probably be 5 stars. I ended up giving it 3 stars on Goodreads just because the ending was very weak. There were some parts that just didn't connect together. It didn't really come for a cohesive plot in the end, you know? At least in my mind. Maybe in Mona Awad's mind it did, but yeah, he basically leads her back to like Ava's house, but then after that it just gets complicated. But up until that point it was really good. Yeah. So there was a lot of tabs in this book, and I hope you guys enjoyed the book as well. I know I did. I think my favorite character was Vignette or Victoria. For sure. They have two names for the bunny characters, but I don't know, I just found her very comedic, and like that was relieving in the book for me, and like just some of her, the way she's described, I'm always able to visualize Vignette very easily. And I like her character design. I don't know. But yeah. I would recommend this book. It's not difficult to get through, but again, it's lacking that like payoff and plot structure kind of. Like some books just have. This is a newer book, so maybe that's the thing with newer books. They don't just have a plot anymore in some ways, but I think it's just bad case of the laziness a little bit, maybe. I know I struggle with that when writing books sometimes. But yeah, Mona Awad is not genius. In certain ways, I think you would label it as genius, but this book overall, I don't know if I'd call it genius. I don't know. It's definitely good. It's definitely not bad, but 3 or 4 stars, like probably 3 stars. Wouldn't call it a genius book, but genius is definitely here. I think I'll probably read another book by Mona Awad. I just hope next time that the plot for it is a little bit more conclusive and solid. I love the experimental stuff, but it has to connect in metaphors. It has to all come together in the end, okay? It just can't be random shit. I mean, it can, but I prefer more conclusive stuff. But this is the best 3-star book I've ever read. Let me just say that. Best 3-star book I've ever read. But yeah. It was a journey. Anyways, posting another review on TikTok. This won't be up on my YouTube. Thank you guys for watching. Go check this book out. It's worth it. It's worth it if you like that kind of stuff. And it's gonna go on the shelf, so this is my shelf, guys. I think I'm probably gonna put it like I'll put it at the other end here, actually. Just sit right there. The Troop and the Deep. Those are both good books. Yeah. I might reread I might reread Between Two Fires at some point. Maybe next, and I'll do another review of it. I originally read it at the library, and I don't have that version tabbed. So I need a tabbed version of that book for sure. It's very good, at least from what I remember. It was in the earlier stages of my reading, but it was still very good. But yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to read next. I still have Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. It's not finished. I still have Blood Meridian that's not finished. I'm like halfway done that. I still have this popular shitty book I haven't finished that I kind of want to finish. And then I have some books that I just haven't even started yet. And I could always go buy more books, right? I don't know. There's one book, Battle Royale, that's like supposedly like Squid Game. I might want to try that one. But anyways, guys, that was the video. Thank you guys for watching. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.